think we touched upon this a little earlier, but I think we should go into this a little more in depth since you are world-renowned for this, and that's your vibrato.
Okay, well, what happens usually, I will hold maybe the neck to get started, like with the thumb, but mostly when I touch the string, my hand is not on the neck at all afterward. Because it comes from the wrist, it comes from here.
So you shake the whole hand?
The whole hand like this. But you try as if you was weighing a pound of feathers over here and a pound of lead here. You try to even them. That's not making much sense, is it? But you try to even the trill, if you will. And so, and if you do that, you'll hear just about as much up as you do down.
So do you push the string up or do you go both ways?
It's just, I guess technically it's both ways, but it's not, not that. So you're almost in the same spot, but just a little twist, twist this way, that way.
Now I notice you do that with all four fingers too.
All four fingers.
Regardless of where you are.
Students have to be completely honest with themselves about what they don't know, and that they have to get on track and start learning it. So if you know, the student has to sit down and ask themselves, do I actually know the name of every note on my guitar? And if the answer is no, then now they've just been told what to do. So item number one, learn every note on the guitar. You don't have to learn it by today, but do something where every day you get better and better at learning every note on every string. The next thing, you say, do I know all the chords? If you don't, well then what are you going to do about it? Do you know all the scales? If the answer is no, well then what are you going to do about it? And so it's really quite obvious. We just have to be very straightforward with ourselves, and that's how we arrange our practicing.
Every kid has a book of scales somewhere around, and you sit there and you play those, and if you don't apply them to some sort of music, there's no use for them. And once you start to play something like the music, you start to take off and you forget about the scale. I know a lot of guitar players that are amazing with scales. I know I always talk about Steve. He's like my sort of technical guitar mentor. He always is telling me all these different things that you can do, but I usually find a hard time applying them. You know, there's a lot of just weird tricks that you can do, you know, starting on different notes, putting a different scale in a different key, this and that and the other. And I can't play with feel or any kind of emotion and be able to sort of mix those two. So I just sort of make it up as I go along. But the main thing that I do go for is obviously the rock sound. So that really is the simplest scale, and then just putting different notes in that. Playing in C, right? And we're playing, you know, 1-4-5 progression. Then you've got two different sort of very standard scales for it. And they have that scale all the way up the neck. Right? And then the other one is the sort of, which is sort of an A really, but anyway, and those are two, and then you just start breaking up like, so you bring what's that, a third into it? No, not a third, a seventh into it. So there's that, and then there's these passing tones. So here's the major scale, or however you want to do it. You know what I mean, right? Yep. And then so in that position, you can go. Or stuff like that.
Oh, solos. So I think as a general rule, you want to move up in pitch during your solos, not down. Because I think there's a sense of growth in the narrative of a solo when you go higher. Jerry Garcia was great at that. I think most great guitar players instinctively understand that if you're going to solo for a while, Doyle Bramall II is the master of if there's a song in C. Now, this is going to be a lot of you that I'm going to sound like right now. And I'm not putting anyone down, nor am I putting down the legends before who have done it, but it's meant to make a point about choices, about what I'm talking about, where I think you should let the note go higher as you go. If you start too high, you sort of go, where do you go from there? If you've got two solos, and if you're in a scenario where you don't know when your solo is going to be over, a lot of times the singer or the head musician gives you a solo and you have to hand it back or they take it back. If you're like, it's very hard once you're. That's okay. Go around again. Where are you going? You can go. Okay, what if you have to go around again? You're sort of running out, but if you were. How long do you have before people get tired of that? You have the whole neck left. So that's how I think about a solo. And then a lot of the time I think about being lyrical. Being lyrical.
And less reasons to be so-called a purist. And therefore I wasn't as restricted about what I could learn.
Show me how you combine the two, then. That 60s Mersey beat is what you're talking about.
No.
And
I don't know about Mersey
the deep
beat
blues
so much, but like, for instance, okay, Freddie King does Hideaway like. And Eric Clapton does it like this. There's a small difference there. That's like just barely pressing down on the strings, you know, to get the real percussive, funky sound. That was the original idea with the James Brown stuff, I guess, was to make the guitar more like a percussion instrument rather than like a guitar. So it's basically just not holding, just barely pressing down, kind of making it so it just makes more of a percussive noise, so you just don't press down all the way. For me, that kind of playing has everything to do with just making sure that your right hand can just be really precise with stuff like that and just be really deep in the groove.